But every debate, at some point, comes to an end. At some point, it's time to decide. At some point, it's time to act. Ohio, it's time to act and get this thing done.
That was President Obama on Labor Day yesterday in Cincinnati, talking to a friendly audience and setting the stage for his big speech on Capitol Hill, marking the beginning of the end.
And certainly sounding more like a candidate than the president. Back on campaign mode, Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Jonathan Karl.
Thank you for being here. Each weekday, we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need to know about the world of politics. Get it right here. John, kick us off today. Thank you for sitting in for our colleague Rick Klein. What's your top line?
Make or break. The president has got this speech on Wednesday. The White House is promising new details, new leadership, and new momentum for health care reform. David, this is a lot to ask of one speech.
It is a lot to ask of one speech. I know that they hope to move the needle a little bit to try to get a rehearing on this health care plan, but he seems to still have this massive problem about the left and the right coming at him both ways.
Undoubtedly.
Back to school. This is the other big speech that's getting a lot of attention today. President Obama in Virginia talking to the nation's school students, but a controversy that just seemed without merit, and it completely has died down now. We've seen the likes of Newt Gingrich, Laura Bush come on endorsing the president's speech to school children. I would say that the Republican chairman of Florida, Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, they lost out on this one.
I mean, and you mentioned the Republican chairman in Florida. He's having his kids watch this speech now after having looked at it. I mean, this has been unbelievable. You know, it also shows what happens when you can have a controversy happening basically in a complete news void. I mean, there's nothing else going on. Next up, stolen election. Some devastating news out of Afghanistan for the Obama administration. President Karzai now is over the 50% threshold. Looks like he will have enough to avoid a runoff election. David, this is devastating because now you have a situation where the president has to make the case for expending American blood and treasure to prop up what is widely seen as an illegitimate government.
The case was going to be hard before this. This completely complicates the situation, as you said. This is going to be an ongoing debate for quite some time that the administration is going to have to deal with. Finally today, Kennedy opts out. That's right. It will not be someone with the last name Kennedy who will be sitting in the late Senator Ted Kennedy's Senate seat. Obviously, that seat has been in the family for quite a long time. And now Joe Kennedy, the son of Robert F. Kennedy, probably most watched Kennedy as to whether or not he was going to get in. The former congressman says he's going to stay out of this, and that means a competitive race.
Yeah, and now what's happening is you have all these members of the Massachusetts congressional delegation, all these Democrats who have been waiting forever for the opportunity to run for Senate. Many of them have been holding back, waiting to see what Joe Kennedy was going to do. Now that he's not out, I predict you're going to see several of them jump in. This will be one of the most entertaining and competitive senatorial primaries this time around.
Circle the calendar. December 8th is the Democratic primary, and we'll learn probably a little bit more this week about whether or not they will change the law up there for Governor Patrick to appoint an interim senator until the election takes place. We're going to begin, of course, with the health care debate and the president's big speech as he prepares to head up to Capitol Hill tomorrow night. We're joined by one of the chairs of the Progressive Caucus in the House, Democratic Congressman Raul Grijalva of Arizona. Sir, thank you for being here. You and your co-chair of the caucus, the Progressive Caucus, sent a letter to President Obama at the end of last week, kind of putting him on notice. You know, Mr. President, when you come up here, we in the Progressive Caucus have not moved on this public option. You still say you can't vote for a bill that doesn't have this public option. So what are you expecting to hear from